A learning space is defined as an environment where learning is able to take place. It can be a physical or virtual space. There are 5 learning spaces: the classroom and the school, beyond the classroom, the electronic learning space, the individual learning space, and the group learning space. Why do we study learning spaces? The study of learning spaces is critical for a number of reasons for both teachers and students. It is important to acknowledge the links between student learning and the learning environment. To improve the learning, a primary focus is placed on engaging students in ways that best enhance their own learning. Classroom design and the use of visual stimuli impact children's thoughtful inquiry processes. Factors such as colour, pattern, texture, natural light, visibility of windows, and the amount of stimuli all influence a child's learning. For example, natural light can assist in students connecting to the natural environment. Classroom design should encourage students to explore and grow interpersonally and personally. Personal growth relates to the Australian curriculum and AusVals and how students expand their knowledge. Interpersonal growth is focused on how an environment influences a student's learning. It is important for teachers to permit their classroom to cater to collaborative and individual work. Students' interactions with the social environment facilitate individual cognitive growth and the acquisition of knowledge. Going outside the classroom offers students the opportunity for sensory learning and develops situated learning. Beyond the classroom learning areas can include excursions, incursions, and anything from the world around us that offers an appropriate learning opportunity. In order to be effective, the content must be age appropriate and relevant to the topic. If students can't see connections, they may be unengaged. Further things to consider is cost, risk assessment, parent help, and is pre and post material available for students to continue their learning. Students also need time to reflect. Thinking about what they have encountered and what new information they have gained builds on the learning. Revisiting a day or a week later can be most effective. The electronic learning space includes iPads, computers, laptops, and interactive whiteboards. The use of technology in education is evolving constantly, and more learning is able to occur because of this. This space allows for students, particularly older students, to take control of their education, directing it in a way that will challenge them, in turn maximising learning outcomes for both individual and collaborative learning. Incentives of the electronic learning space include providing functional and open means of communication and sharing of information for teachers and students. It allows teachers and students to explore new ways of learning that are not always possible in the classroom without technology, and sharing resources with other educators, communicating with families, and the accessibility of informational updates from other educational organisations. An individual learning space can be described as a place where an individual chooses to undertake their learning. Where students choose to learn has a major impact on the learning they will achieve. The individual learning space is a great way for students to develop themselves as directed learners. This allows students to assume responsibility for the planning and directing the course of study, allowing them to be in charge of their education. However, it is key that teachers guide their students towards positive influences for their individual learning. Factors that influence the individual learning space include lighting, sound, temperature, social surroundings, equipment, and even gender. The group learning space can be defined in 3 parts. Cooperative, which relates to students working towards learning something rather than just completing a task. It has more meaning, which leads to increased learning outcomes and allows for individual accountability and equal opportunities. Group work which is partners or small groups working under direct instruction from teachers. This can create problems if all students do not work equally on the task. And collaborative, which is working with each other, bouncing ideas and thought processes off one another. This is the most effective as all students are able to learn together and set achievable goals which coincide with the learning that has taken place. Group learning is heavily promoted in open plan classrooms. Although teachers and students may feel a loss of ownership of the space due to minimal area to display work, learning is still consistent. Teachers work together to ensure the curriculum is implemented in a way that will best suit all students' needs as best possible. It is important for educators to discuss the learning before, during and after lessons to reinforce the expectations, learning outcomes and contributions of all students involved. Teachers must observe groups regularly to ensure all students are equally partaking in the lesson.